Are you tilting the camera?
Make everybody sick.
I don't know how to weld, but we got to figure it out. What's the backup plan? Change the subframe out, right? I'm not gonna let you see my precision welds on day number 2 of welding. That should be in the right spot. We'll see. So, am I supposed to be talking?
You said so. Like there was something to come after. We know you love the word so.
So, 66 5/8 and 65 1/4. This subframe is definitely crooked, so I guess we'll loosen everything up and see if we can't find a way to slide it over with the motor in the car.
I'm sure my muscles can handle it. I got you.
Okay, okay. How come you have
really
another
cold.
Ohio State shirt on? It's like you're from there or something.
I only have 2. It's the 2 that I stole from my father. Those are the only 2 hoodies I own. Next time I'm at his house, I will go through his closet and look for something that's not Ohio State.
Okay.
Because I'm too cheap to buy a new one.
Ooh, that's bright. Okay, so the plan is to loosen up all the subframe bolts, loosen up the torque arms in the engine bay, use an engine hoist to take up some of the weight, and then slide the, I see you back there, slide the subframe to the right. To the right, just a little bit. So we've got to get these subframe bolts on the side out, loosen up the large one. There's another one up there that needs loosened, as well as one at the very front on either side of the radiator. So hopefully those come out. What it is up inside the body, there's a nut that's pinch welded in. And now that nut is all broken free,
Trying to see if I can.
we're gonna take the inner fender out.
Super.
What we're gonna do is get these bodies supported, off the wood versus having the jack stands on the subframe so I can't move it. They say the pinch weld area is the strongest area of the body. We got big fun here. You can see that we've got the car supported with the wooden blocks, and the subframe is hanging. Well, hanging as much as it can. You can see this bushing has disintegrated itself. So I'm gonna have to cut that out and replace it. But you are getting a good look now at the alignment holes that I was talking about. So here, that hole right there is what Chevrolet used to align the subframe. There's a similar hole in the body right there. So, time to make sparks. There's what's left of the bushing. So we got to bushing number 2 today. Yay! So let me give you a little bit of background. We measured the car. You can see all the markings on the floor there everywhere. Subframe was off about a half a bolt hole. Car was almost an inch shorter on the left-hand side. So I looked up in there. These alignment holes right here were off both sides. So I ordered up this kit right here. This would be energy suspension. This is the 2nd gen subframe mount kit, polyurethane bushings. Came with all this stuff, except these nuts right here. You have to go buy those because they assume that this factory square nut is gonna be good. There's no way. I had to cut this out. So there's the driver's side body mount cut out of there. You will have to fold a piece of sheet metal back in there that encapsulates that square nut. Fold it out of your way. You can see this side we just got done. You can see the mess. We've got new bushing in the front, nice and loose. Of course, that's another whole issue. That's why the front end's off, because you can't get inside there. Let me grab a flashlight. I got one over here somewhere. You cannot get inside there to get to that without taking the bumper off. So, this is why you do the subframe with no motor, no sheet metal. So the sheet metal brings up another problem. You can see I have all my edges taped because the sheet metal is going to have to be realigned, because after you move the subframe and put new bushings in the front end, nothing is going to sit back where it sat before. This side was bad. I had to take this side completely off and push it forward so it didn't damage the paint. So this is in nice and loose. Everything's loose at the subframe connectors. That's why I won't be using these. These were rear mounts, but we have subframe connectors welded in that already has all this stuff. This is the other bushing. You can see the stack up there. They give you really good directions on how to do this, how to put it together. Also got new inner fender bolts and clips, because that stuff just disintegrated. Replacing every bit of that with new hardware. Those were the forward tube mounts on either side of the radiator. I was able to find dimensions here. This gives you the dimensions between the rear frame hole and the middle bushing hole. Should be 84 and a 16th. So little parts that we didn't film. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it was, ow, freaking mosquito. Really? It was 22 degrees yesterday. Now it's 73 and all the mosquitoes are back. I don't think they ever die. Going through the video, I didn't see where we we used like a 4-foot pipe in the front frame rail. Once everything was loose, it was actually pretty easy to slide that front end over, and you could hear the polyurethane bushings as you did it. Then we just snugged them up. We cross measured from forward rear leaf spring mount to opposite ball joint grease zerk and straightened up the car. It was within a 1/4 inch. Locked everything down, torqued everything down. So what we did find there was when I first went to tighten the new polyurethane bushings, they pulled right through the frame, as I didn't notice it was corroded to the size of the bushings. So that's when we did some research and came up with the UMI kit that I'll show you now. Oh, I shouldn't drink that pre-workout. We got something in the mail today that I think is going to save our bacon on the Camaro Subframe. If you've been following along, you realize we have the common issue of the corroded bushing mounts. Corroded out. As the inner sleeve of the bushing corroded, it also took out the circle where the bushing sits. And now I got polyurethane bushings, which are even smaller than the rubber bushing. So I went online, did some research, and I found a repair kit. This just got here today from UMI Performance. I have not opened it yet. Feels heavy. Should be some steel. So what do we got? This is a 70 to 81 F-body subframe repair kit. So inside the package, we have these. So that is the part we're gonna need. The kit actually comes with repair stock to do all 6 mounts of the subframe. We only have the issue at the mounts behind the wheel well there. So let me grab a bushing and see if it's gonna go right in here. This here is your bushing stack. So in the factory configuration, this nut is captive in the body. You have brand new washers with the kit, brand new bolts, but this is your basic bushing. All the weight of the body sitting on the frame sits on this steel, I don't know what you call that thing. Basically that. Then that goes down through, this piece sits right there, fits perfectly. Then you have this part, sandwiches it. Now you have bushing on either side of your frame. Your bolt comes up through. You can see how much adjustment you have through your alignment pins. And then if you're like me and you weren't paying $16 for a square nut to replace that, I just went down to the hardware store and bought galvanized right there. So I think we have everything we need here to fix it. We're gonna get a crash course in welding because I don't know how to weld, but we gotta figure it out. Stay tuned, this should be interesting. All right, I'm gonna take you under here and show you. That's how much of that bracket is gone. So you can see we're perfectly lined up with our pinhole, pretty much centered on that hole. Other than right there, it's really strong metal. So I have no concerns welding that in. And again, I'm really not concerned with that minuscule raise of the bushing. I really don't think that's gonna make a big deal. Of course, you know, I have been wrong from time to time. See, it's a little smoky in here. I've been welding all morning. Wouldn't say I'm an expert yet. However, I don't know if it's the modern machine or what, but it doesn't really seem to be that difficult. Of course, I am welding brand new 1/8 inch plate to clean 1/8 inch, so it's pretty easy so far. Here's the new machine. Works pretty good for the novice. Now, I'm only gonna get this close. I'm not gonna let you see my precision welds on day number 2 of welding, but I'm pretty confident it's secure in there and gonna work out. Once we installed the Hotchkiss rear suspension in episode 19, notice the car sat 1 inch lower on the driver's rear. And I just recalled something my dad told me years and years ago, to always check the opposite end of the car when you have one sitting low like that, back when I was messing with drop springs on a Mustang or something. So I went to the driver's side front on the lift and found this. You can see the spring is not in the pocket at all. It's supposed to be around that lip, so it's easily 1 inch there. And I can also tell he didn't put any spring rubbers in, so that's why the springs make so much noise. So to get that spring sitting correctly, I had to remove the shock. As you can see, we're gonna have to pull the upper ball joint nut off, knock that off. We got a jack underneath it supporting it, and I'm gonna run a strap through it, just in case anything happens, the spring can't come flying out at me. So hopefully we can do this pretty quickly. You can see these are Hotchkiss springs there. I hope you can read that. But not only were they installed incorrectly, they weren't indexed properly. Well, you can see we've got a much better stance now, and we haven't even put the bumper and all the bumper supports back in yet, and we've already easily came down 1 inch from where that spring was out of the pocket. I don't know if we can go much further, as we got, 2.5 fingers there before it hits the inner fender on the outside edge. Now that is the stance we're going for, right? I am happy to report we have found what's wrong with this car, and we can fix it. Finally, I found springs out of pockets, loose rear ends, worn out parts here and there, mismatched parts. I found a subframe that was disintegrating and crooked. I mean, we have went through this car front to back to solve these problems. A lot of time. I literally just finished putting the inner fenders and the front valence back on. By the way, those have to be stacked at a certain, I think it's fender, inner fender, lower valence, headlight slides in the front too. If you don't have it just like that, it will not go back together. So fast forward a couple days, actually got the car back together, took for a cruise. This video was about subframe bushings, snowballed into a little bit of welding, patch panels in. I know it was a little bit longer than I really wanted to put out there. These videos, they get too long and nobody wants sitting in front of the TV that long, but there's some really good information there. Let my learning experience help you out in any way. If you got any questions, just ask them below. I put the link in for the subframe bushings. I got those off Amazon, like $70 or something like that. I guess you're just gonna have to stay tuned to see what we found wrong with the car, but we finally found it, and this video is your hint. Make sure to check it out, it's really cool. matches my car. That is freaking awesome.